Welcome back, everybody. Episode 94, Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. And I love this episode, actually. I love the energy that came through. I love that it's like almost 9 p.m. at night and I'm recording this the night before the episode drops. I love that I'm in the purity of this light. And we're going to talk about spiritual expansion today and different levels and what we're seeing come through and where we're at in this spectrum of energy and what it actually means. And like always, I go on random tangents about random things that aren't random. And I love that you're here for this. I love that you're tuning into it. And I just am grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for the mechanism that I get to serve in. I'm grateful that you're here listening. And it's just going to be an amazing podcast to put on your ear as you move through life. Some considerations for you to feel into and some spiritual truth, we'll say. So with no further ado, episode 94, Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. All right, beautiful, beautiful people. Welcome back. And I am elated, excited, kind of tired actually right now, but we can mix all of those in together. I'm recording this podcast later on Monday night because I was literally reading and I went, oh my gosh, I've got to get my podcast out. And as you guys know, if you've been around the bend with me over the last little while or listening in, I do all my solo episodes in real time, meaning that week, that energy, what's moving through, what's coming through my field to discuss and move through into your field. And so I don't pre-record them. Sometimes I do them on Sundays because they launch on Tuesdays, but today it's Monday night and this is what we're up to. This is what we're getting into. And I tapped into the field after I realized that I hadn't recorded this yet or gotten it up to be like, what are we, my spirit guides, my higher self, the collective, desiring to lean into today? What does this feel like for us? What are we moving through? And we're going to talk today about the evolution of our spiritual expansion and what that actually fucking means. Because when it dropped in, I was like, oh, that sounds great. What the fuck are we even talking about? So the evolution of our spiritual expansion. So when we first begin this process, let's say, and open up to spirituality, it gets really messy, at the beginning. We're doubting ourselves. We're trying to figure out our movements. We're trying to step into a space. And I say trying on purpose for all of these things, because it's like we resist the avenues. We resist our intuition. We resist our guides. We resist the calling. And resistance is a really big energetic field that shows up at the beginning because we don't have a reference point. Nobody handed us a manual. Nobody is teaching us what to do, because most of the time at the beginning phases, we don't know that we're in this. We are kind of scattered and around and we're still trying to be a human, but all of a sudden all this spiritual stuff starts to show up and we're like, what the fuck is this? And we don't know what this is until we find a video, a piece of content. We meet somebody who's like, da da da, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling this too. And then you get put into like a Facebook group and you start to listen to messaging, or you find a program or a masterclass that resonates with you and you start to move this mechanism forward. And then you start to discover these pieces of you. You start to discover this vibration. You start to discover this new way of life. You start to discover that joy and peace and pleasure are actually birthrights in our field. And some of us are really in this landscape right now, even though we've done a lot of work, but it's like we're in rediscovering energy. We're rediscovering ourselves. We're rediscovering this pathway. We're rediscovering who we are and the mechanism of things. And it's actually really beautiful. I've sat with myself a lot over the last week. I swear, like I was teaching in my membership called The Collective about being in the void last week. And I'm like, I really feel like I'm in the void. I really feel like I've been floating. There you go. There comes a clearing energy through. I really feel like I've been floating in the void, not knowing where I'm headed, not knowing what this is. I know the landscape of what I'm creating in the world. I know the downloads that we're dropping in. I know what this looks like and feels like and is for everything. But there's a part of me that's like, I just don't know. I just don't know. Right? And it's a beautiful place to be when you just don't know. But it's also one of the scariest fuck places to be as well, because of the fact that we just don't know. And all of us as humans have been conditioned to think our way through life. It's part of the mechanism. We grow up this way. The school system teaches it. If our parents were really open intuitively and really taught us to lead with our intuition, the school system comes in to try and box us in and kibosh us. And it's been set up this way. And if you've been around the block with me a few times on this podcast, you've heard me speak to this a lot, because it actually is a mechanism in which they can control us. At a young age, we get put into an infrastructure that tells us what to do, what to think, how to act, how to follow the rules. And the whole thing has been set up in the old world society to help us be conditioned to listen to the governmental systems. That's what it was set up to do. And we're finding that people are now rebelling against the systems. People are now taking their kids out and homeschooling. People are finding unschooling ways. People are really paying attention to the schools that their children are going to. And they're starting to watch the energy in which their children are being educated in. And this wasn't my intention to lean into this conversation today, but apparently it's coming out hot right now for consideration for some of you guys that have kids that are in the school system. Have you considered this? And some of you will be like, but Colleen, I can't have them at home. We can't school. I understand the dynamics of all of this. And we have been put into positions as Canadians, as North American people, as people in the United States, to not have a lot of options when it comes to this, because of the fact that if you have options, you will choose sovereignty every single day of the week. And if you are sovereign and your kids are sovereign, you're building power and truth in the world, which is what they don't want. So when we talk about being conformed, as we move through our spiritual expansion, we start to rebel against the infrastructures. We start to see things differently. We start to see the truth. We start to see the mechanism. We start to see, how we show up in the world and what we've been conditioned to believe. And then all of a sudden we open up and we're looking at it going, holy fuck, I can't believe that was actually happening, or I can't believe that this was moving through, or all the things. And as we move through our ascension, our reconnection to ourselves, our evolution, and our spiritual advancement, it gets easier and easier to see the truth, but it gets harder and harder to be a human. And that's the thing that we're coming up against right now. We are in major life lessons that we're learning through right now in this moment of time. I'm deep diving this in my collective tomorrow, in the energy of holding the space in this, because it is important to recognize that this is actually a thing. We are up against major life pillars that we brought down as our pulse points, as our experiences, as the things that we're here to learn. And a lot of us are rebelling against it, and a lot of us are pushing up against it, when the objective right now is to surrender. How can you allow your heart to lead and trust that you're being led and that you're learning and growing and moving? Our job is to get the checklist out and to check mark it, to be like, did I get the learning? Did I learn it through? Do I understand what this is? And we are no longer able to surface level our healing like we could 10 years ago. Like I used to, I admit this, at least the first 5 years of my spiritual evolution and working with my spiritual mentor, I surface level things. You got my home? Yeah, I'll do the homework. And like quickly do the homework and quickly step in. I never went into the depth of the work that I did the years coming up, and even over this last 3 years, 4 years of my world. Never, even the last 3 months of my life, the depthful work that I've been doing inside of the energetic alignment and moving the energy through. And I just want you to consider today, as you listen to this podcast, as you're here with me, let's say on YouTube, if you're watching the video, what does this feel like for you right now? We're at a precipice of energy. So it doesn't matter where you are in the scale. It doesn't matter if you're just a beginning awakening. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of your awakening. It doesn't matter if you're like highly advanced. We're still all awakening. And this is the whole entire journey. And will we have all the answers by the time we leave Earth? I hope we do. I hope this is my last tour around the sun for a while, because if it is, then that means I did my mission. Because I only incarnate on Earth when the Earth's blueprint is off. So the Earth's blueprint is off right now, which we can look around and see. And one of my jobs as a soul here on Earth is to literally make a big enough impact to shift it back. And it's not just me, it's activating all of those that are coming through my field to be activated to do their work too. And it's pretty fucking potent when you think about it. And it's a pretty big, vast mission when you think about it. And apparently I signed up for this, and, when I wake up every day and I'm dealing with my own shit and in my own space of dealing with my own shadows and my own traumas and, my own worthiness and my own expansion and my own surrendering to God to be like, what the fuck is happening? Guys, I go through this all the time, and I'm a human in this experience just like you. but I've got a couple of pulse points that I'm here to guide people through that I have nailed down, that are mine, that are a vibrational frequency, that are the asset that I hold in this life. And I've learned through the years of what that is, how to hone in on it, how to activate it, how to move it through, how to deepen it, how to expand within it, and how to work within those tool sets and that energy to help assist in the world. And that's one of my main missions on earth. It's also to activate people in their truth and power and to help them step in. And I'm so clear about what this is for me. But that's also because I've been on a 15-year experience of opening this up and of being in the space and of doing the work. And even when I was surface leveling the work, I was still doing some of the work. I was still activating and stepping through. I was still serving people. I was still discovering. I was still dealing with my shit. And this experience as we move through is ever evolving and it's ever changing. And the journey is the journey. And when we finally actually surrender into it and start to trust it, it gets fucking easier. It doesn't mean we don't go through our shit. Okay, I have a big awareness to stuff and I'm still over here going, God. And it was like, God sent me a lifeline today. And I went, I freaking see your lifeline. I see it and I feel it and I know it to be true. Okay, God, I'm ready. Okay, let's do another. Give me some more. I can hold this space. I can be in this space. I'm listening to you. I'm shining into the space of the light. I'm leading in my mission. I get it. And then God said to me today, he's like, you're still missing some of the deep rooted work. And I go, I understand, but I need your help right now. Because in order to get into that space, I need you to show up for me. And so we made an agreement today, God and I, me and my higher self, me and my guides, my team of people around me. But it's ever evolving. And our movement through the spiritual expansion doesn't have a handbook. Even though you could read all these spiritual books about it and you're like, oh yeah, that's the piece I need. It's not a fucking handbook because your journey is different than mine. Your unique vibration is different than mine. All of it. So every single time we try to put ourselves in a box and think we know because that person is doing it like this and that makes sense to me, you go into the box and you're like, fuck, I'm in the wrong box again. It's part of the whole entire process until you start to really dive into yourself and trust. Now, me as a guide and as a mentor and as an activator in the space, I fall into your field sometimes to help assist you in certain ways. That's my job. Getting you to the next level, believing in yourself, clearing the energies, clearing your pathway, activating inside of you so you can fully step into this. But I don't ever want to be anyone's crutch. Meaning I don't want to take on year-long clients throughout the years, like in year after year after year, unless we're moving together and we're expanding together and the mission is so intertwined that I can serve you in the potency of the light. That's what it is. I have people that come into my field 3-6 months. I have some for the year as well inside of my space, but we're doing different work. More business strategy stuff, more soul alignment work, getting them really out of the ruts that they're in inside of the space that we're working within. It's a different energy. But I know right now that when you start to listen to your intuition and use it as your beacon of light, that is where your impact lies. It's right in that space of time. Sometimes we need some help. Sometimes we need some guidance. Sometimes we just need someone to talk to. Sometimes we need to go into past lives and clear some shit. And sometimes we need to get our energy fields clear because we're dealing with karmic debt and a curse inside of the space. But overall, all of the answers are inside of you. And this whole entire awakening, expansion, all the things, ascension energy is all bringing you back into you. Everything is inside of you. Today I was working with a client and we were inventorying her list of assets she has, meaning business assets, meaning her certifications, the modality she uses. And I said to her, there's one more we're missing on the list, but you don't need to take another course for it. It's already in you. You're just going to have to remember it. And part of our pathway together is going to be to activate that together, where we're going to dive in and go in and activate it. And you're going to pull it forward and you're going to know and remember how to use this tool. We take courses right now, like certification courses, to remember the asset we already have inside of us. If you are drawn to something, it is already something that you've used in the past, in a past life, integrated in. You've taken the coding with you to earth. And the more we can lean into this and the more we can remember this, the more potent we become. The world wants us to be separated from ourselves and from each other. Because if you create an infrastructure and bring two people awakened together, it's not just two people. They awaken all these other people around them. They awaken lights, they move energy through, they collapse time, they shift frequencies, they change timelines. When we're fucking flipping timelines, we are in a powerful state because we keep moving up in the world and up in our energetic fields. Everything changes. I'm about to start a 7-day water fast tonight. After I'm done recording this podcast, I'm going to go make some sourdough toast. Oh, I love it. Fresh sourdough bread, some avocado, and some runny eggs on it. And I'm going to mow that back. And that will be my last meal for 7 days. I'm going to start it tonight because, like, why wouldn't I get in the 10 hours of like sleep time or nighttime into the space of these 7 days? I'm like, fuck that. It's already going to, the first couple days. And I actually feel though my body's been purging these first few days already. When I committed to starting on Tuesday, my body's already moving through the energy of it. I'm like, I don't even feel like I'm going to have any issues at all. I don't think I'm going to get headaches. I don't think I'm going to be hungry. I think my body's just like, we need this. And my body's going to participate. And my mind's like, let's go. Because I'm really leaning into my warrior energy coming out of this. After a couple days of integration, after I start 75 hard again, and not 75 hard in a normal way I would do it, which is still hard. I'm doing a warrior 75 hard. And you may be like, what is that? I've never heard of it. I know, I made it up. It's for me. It is like not just working out. It is like warrior going to war working out. It is like training my body in the highest level capacity that I can move it. I'm going to be exhausted. I know I will be for the first while till I adjust. I'm about to take on a one-to-one sparring coach too. There's a dojo here that does jiu-jitsu, but he does one-to-one sparring. And I feel like I need to work with him twice a week because I really desire to get into this mode and this energy. And I really, really are being called to own this certain level of energy in my body. And I'm ready to step into it. I'm ready to curve out the time and to be with this. It's not going to hinder any other aspect of my life because my soul is calling it out from my physical form to help shift and embody my next levels of energy. It's going to be very masculine in framework for sure. So therefore, I need to balance it with the feminine edge and my femininity. And I will be doing that in other ways of embodiment practices throughout the day, of really honing in, of doing some womb work in this embodiment practice to hold the space for both energies. Because you've heard me speak to this over multiple episodes over the last even 3 months. I think we've had beautiful guests on talking about this in different facets in different ways. And I've done some talks on this as well. And it's time we embody all the parts of us, all this aspect of us. So I say this to you today because part of the spiritual expansion energy is the body. And it is the last thing to clear and hold upgrades of energy. And most of us have stuck energy in our physical form. I am so grateful that I live in a country that can serve my physical form, that I can eat from a plant, that I can buy, coffee that just got roasted the day before, that I can go to a plantation and visit grass-fed beef farms, that I can get raw dairy at the click of a button. Like I drink raw milk every week. And I vowed back in the day when I was younger that I would never drink milk again because it was pasteurized. Pups and I drink raw milk. They also eat raw cheese with me. And some of you may be like, oh my God, you feed your dogs dairy. It's raw, meaning it doesn't go through the heat process, which takes all the nutrients out and creates shitty infrastructure. It's actually pure, right from the cow. And it's interesting when you think about this, especially all you vegans listening to this, it's like, we are actually meant to be one with the earth, experience the fruit that grows on its land through the trees and the animals that serve the land, the grass. And, I had this conversation with cows before because I was like, how is this a thing? And some of you guys may be from India and the cows are sacred for you. It's a whole different energy that way. But when I talked to the cows, I said to them, like, look, there's a big thing like in the collective energy about you guys and eating you. And they're like, we are only on earth for the humans to eat. That's why we're here. That is our purpose, is to feed you. And I went, oh, okay then, let's eat some more cows. Literally my last meal tonight was like ribs that I'd slow cooked in the slow cooker. Fucking amazing. And the dogs will get the rest of it tomorrow morning for their breakfast. They don't have a clue how well they eat. But I say this to you today on purpose because of the fact that some of us are resisting the movement in our bodies and not letting go of the emotions that we're doing all this work to leave. We need an outlet in some way, shape, or form. You don't have to become a warrior 75 hard like me, but it's going to be fucking fun. And to see what my body feels like after this 75 days is going to be even more amazing. And I'm going to be traveling a little bit in April, and I'm like, how I'm going to hold it all? No idea. But I'm just going to figure it out because that's what a warrior would do. They'd figure it out. They'd figure out how to get a workout in, and maybe it's doing a yoga flow in the middle of the airport while I'm waiting for my flight, which is most likely what's going to happen, because the flight leaves really early in the morning. And yeah, it's just, I won't land in Winnipeg until late at night. So that's most likely what's going to happen. And then I can go on my walk when I get to Winnipeg, which is totally cool. Or I can walk the airport and just get really sweaty, but I've got to make sure I do a workout outside once of them. Right. So I don't know, how this is moving through your field. I don't know what you're up against. I don't know where you're at in your process of your spiritual connection within yourself, of your trusting energy, of your expansion. But here's what I want to say to you today. Start trusting yourself more. Make sure your energy's clear. Make sure you're not playing any fucking demonic shit, and start stepping into your space to trust yourself and to allow your heart to lead and to allow that energy to move through the field and allow you to be seen and to be heard and to be felt and to live in your power and to show up in your truth and to have the confidence to hold it and the courage to keep moving through it. We're at a powerful, powerful, energetic space right now of choice. It's coming up in the eclipse season. It's coming up in all the aspects of the linear time. It's coming up to serve us. And all we have to do is ride the wave and trust the wave and do the work and step in and keep doing the work and stepping in and keep doing the work and stepping in. And this is a powerful, powerful place to be. And I'm excited and also a bit scared. And when I say scared, I say that with the most authentic energy I can, because I know what my life is about to become. And part of me is scared because of the fact that it's going to be everything I desire it to be. And I'm like, fuck, it's going to get easy. It's going to get easy because I choose it to be that way. And I'm doing the work to hold that. And it's going to be powerful. And I'm going to make a difference in the world. And I'm going to make an impact. And people's lives are going to be changed. And their light is going to radiate into the world. And they're going to have their ripple effects. And they're going to make a difference in the world. And I was a cog in the wheel. I had a hand in that in some way, shape, or form, whether it was a clearing or an activation, or whether they took a program, or whether they saw it through content and they made a choice one day. But every day I step up, even on the days I don't want to, and even on the days I have a massive headache, and even on the days where I don't even do anything but read and meditate and stay in my bed because I feel like crap. I still do it on those days, because here's what I know. The impact I'm making in the world needs momentum. And I can't do that by not stepping in. So when you hear that in your field, what do you feel? How does this show up for you? How does this make sense in your energy? What are your next steps? What are you being called to do and to move forward on? You know what I'm really grateful for right now? That I just checked to see if my mic was on, that it wasn't on mute, and it's not on mute. Oh my God, I wouldn't be able to replicate that one. I don't even remember anything I just said to you, really. I don't really remember this 22 minutes of this podcast, which I think is even more beautiful, which means that I'm completely surrendered into channeling this energy for you. And when you listen to this, if you got to this point in the podcast, you know that this was meant for you. And this is yours. And I hold that sacred for all of us. For all of the 20 listeners, the 50 listeners, the 100 listeners, the 500 listeners. I hold it sacred for all of us because we are at a movement of time. And we haven't seen the energy, the way we can tap into it like this since maybe hundreds of years ago, hundreds of years ago. Because there's small pockets on the earth plane that used to hold this energy sacred. And they kept it a secret for a while because they had to. in order to get the ripple effect in the world that was meant to happen now. Right here, right now, we're awakening. We're learning more. We're stepping in more. There's a lot of people on the earth that have the answers we seek. I'm finding more and more people that have more of the answers to my lineage line. More and more people that are connected to dragon energy and the Avalon age. I was incarnated at King Arthur's table. I was one of the 12 knights that served him. And yeah, I just got a ping for those of you not watching the video. I was like, whoa, I felt that in my body. And maybe that's why I'm desiring to fight. And you know what's really kind of cool is I keep seeing myself get like a baton, like a thin piece of bamboo, like maybe like an inch thick, or like an actual, you know, sometimes in the gym they've got these like poles that you can use to like do squats with or whatever to train. But I see myself and I watch it out this window, like another version of me that's in my driveway training with that stick. And when I say warrior training, this could be part of it. Maybe I do a hike up the mountain because I have a mountain here. It's not that big, but you fucking hike up and down it twice, you're fucking done. I hike up the mountain, then I come back and I literally pick up my baton and I start to work it like a sword. Like it's like a jab stick. Like, you know, like they used to have when, like if you think about the movie with Braveheart with Mel Gibson, and you know, they have those jabs with like the arrow at the end. Man, I'm really bad at sucking at describing this to you guys. I know you guys got the visual. It's like I'm training to be able to hold that. And I just keep seeing it over and over again. Like I'm doing these moves and I'm like, whoosh, whoosh, and I can move the thing around me. And I've done this before. So I'm super tapped into that life. And I'm like, okay, so my warrior is coming forth to learn how to move my body in different ways, to learn how to escape through movement of energy, to allow myself the releases through this experience. I do that 3 days a week out there, plus sparring twice a week, and my weight workouts, and walks on the beach, and yoga in there. Fucking, I'm like a machine. And my body loves this kind of stuff. Like, we'll eat it up. And then I'll probably sleep the whole night, and hopefully the dogs will wake me up when they have to go to the bathroom. We still go out once a night. Just once, though. They last about 6 hours, which they're 4 months old. I think that's pretty good. So, yes. Oh, wow, there's a lot of energy I just moved through there. Some of you took something from this, which is amazing. And all I want to say to you guys is we have the availability to be, to do, to have anything we really desire. And we're coming up against some really dynamic stuff right now. And all I want to encourage you to do is to keep trusting that that is your truth and keep stepping in wherever you're being called. We got this. We've done this before in other lives, other lifetimes. We came with the imprints already in our field. We just have to remember them. We just have to remember them. All right, guys, sending you guys lots of love. And again, like I always say, help me share the word out, send it to a friend, tag me on Instagram. Let me know you're listening to this because it's important. And some of you are like, yeah, I don't really want to. I'm like, guys, it's important. When people are hearing the messaging that's coming through here and are seeing what you're feeling from it, it's important. It really is. And I know it takes you 5 minutes to do, but I love the 5 minutes that you would commit to that. I'm just putting it out there. Feel into that one. And I'll see you guys all in the next episode.